Good evening. Welcome to the Other 24 Report. I'm Seymour Guff, and this is what's happening. The World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab. If you haven't heard those names before, you haven't been paying attention. While the world's population has been sleeping, here is what Klaus has been up to. The World Economic Forum was formed in 1971 by German engineer and economist Klaus Schwab, with its mission statement as follows. The forum engages the foremost political, business, cultural, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. So what does that actually mean? Well, they want to directly influence country and global agendas and policies. That sounds fishy. They are the authors of the Great Reset. At their 50th annual meeting in June 2020, held in Davos, Switzerland, world leaders gathered and launched the Great Reset agenda. They identified the COVID-19 pandemic as an opportunity. How convenient. To achieve a better outcome, the world must act jointly and swiftly to revamp all aspects of our societies and economies, from education to social contracts and working conditions. In short, we need a great reset of capitalism. Let's go to Scoop, who is at a news conference where Klaus Schwab is speaking about the Great Reset. Scoop?
I am here waiting for Klaus Schwab to speak on the Great Reset and the influence over global governments. He's already started.
When I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets.
Did he just say penetrate the cabinets?
So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
I am back in Ottawa, and I think I heard Klaus Schwab, I like saying that name, Schwab, correctly at the conference when he said that half of Trudeau's cabinet have been penetrated and are on board with the WEF Global Leaders Initiative. That sounds a little concerning and has real potential for a conflict of interest. Don't you think? Who do the Liberals answer to? The people of Canada or Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum? That question is about to be asked in Parliament. Let's go in.
Contact questions and comments. The honourable member.
Here we go. Let's listen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I listened to my colleague's speech. I had a constituent that wanted me to ask a question about outside interference to our democracy. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged how his subversive WEF, World Economic Forum, has, quoted, infiltrated governments around the world. He said that his organization had penetrated more than half of Canada's cabinet. And I was wondering, in the interest of transparency, could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know he was. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad, and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again. The honourable member for Timmins James Bay.
Mr. Speaker, that member was promoting open disinformation. That's not debate. We have to call out disinformation.
We'll get into debate again. The honourable member, questions and comments. The honourable member for Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm just thank you to my honourable colleague for her speech.
Well, I'm back outside. As you saw, they totally dismissed the question about Klaus Schwab's influence within the Trudeau cabinet. The speaker claimed that the audio was bad, but I could hear the question just fine. Back to you in the studio.
Well, that was odd. One Liberal MP even went as far as calling the other MP's question about Klaus Schwab disinformation, and that it shouldn't be allowed in the Parliament. I guess it appears that he was able to hear the question just fine. And furthermore, we just heard Klaus Schwab say it himself. So why are the Liberals calling this disinformation? Who are the actual ones hiding truths and promoting lies? Again, this is another example of the Trudeau government calling disinformation anything that they don't want the public to hear, shaping their own narrative and silencing anything that will identify their corruption. The WEF's Great Reset presentation is also quoted as saying, "By 2030, you will own nothing and be happy." What? Doesn't that sound a lot like communism? Big media support for communist ideologies seems to be increasing. For example, the Washington Post recently ran a Chinese propaganda piece stating, "Trump views China's Communist Party as a threat. Young Chinese see it as a ticket to a better future." Oh, did we mention that the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, who is a member of the World Economic Forum, and the owner of Amazon, who has benefited greatly through the COVID lockdowns and the forced shift in consumerism? That type of support for China and communism sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before?
Of admiration I actually have for China.
Oh yeah, that's right. Maybe that explains why the Trudeau government is trying to cancel and silence independent news organizations in Canada, while at the same time, Trudeau's minions within the parliamentary press gallery are defending the propaganda of Xinhua. What the hell is Xinhua? Oh wait, I'm being told that's Xinhua News, the Chinese government-backed media group. My bad. Trudeau also invited Chinese troops to Canada to train for cold weather battle at Canadian military bases.
Here's a story that's hard to believe, but it's real. Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, invited China's People's Liberation Army to send its troops to Canada for special cold weather training at a base in Ontario. That training was canceled after China kidnapped two of Canada's citizens and held them for years. A top aide to the Prime Minister then complained about the cancellation to the Department of Defense in Canada. Quote, "Canada does not want to be the partner that is reducing normal bilateral interactions. In other words, it's immoral for us not to train Chinese soldiers, probably to kill us at some point."
Who exactly is Trudeau helping the Chinese to prepare for battle against? It certainly isn't Russia. China and Russia are good friends. Let's see, what other northern country is large, cold, geographically well placed, and would be a great conquest for China? Well, that's not good. Whose side is Trudeau on? The Trudeau government also approved the sale of the valuable Canadian-owned Neolithium to a Chinese-owned company, a lithium mining company, a unique global resource that would have definitely benefited Canadians in the future. And unbelievably, the Trudeau government awarded the security equipment contract for all of Canada's embassies to a Chinese government-owned company.
It was very important for me in the speech today to be clear that this is a made in Canada foreign policy. If you listen closely to my words, and I am sure everybody has, thank you, and thank you for that, I was careful to only refer to Canadian sources and Canadian examples. I wanted to be saying to Canadians, this is about us. And this is about us standing on our own 2 feet, having a foreign policy that expresses, as an independent and sovereign country, what we need to achieve in the world to guarantee our safety and security.
Then why give such an important Canadian security contract to a foreign government-owned company? So much for supporting Canadian business and protecting national security. It seems that the Liberals continually preach one thing and do just the opposite. For example, Trudeau is on record as supporting peaceful protests around the world. With reference to the farmer protest in India, he said,
the news coming out of India about the protest by farmers. The situation is concerning, and we're all very worried about family and friends. I know that's the reality for many of you. Let me remind you, Canada will always be there to defend the right of peaceful protest. We believe in the importance of dialogue, and that's why we've reached out through multiple means directly to the Indian authorities to highlight our concerns.
After saying that, with respect to peaceful protests in his own country, he refused to have any dialogue with the peaceful freedom protesters in Ottawa, and proceeded to invoke the Emergencies Act, have the police brutally attack them, freeze bank accounts, and arrest the organizers.
Albeit completely peacefully. Just listen.
You really can't believe a word he says. Trudeau seems to be an obedient student of the World Economic Forum, rather than looking out for Canadians' best interests. And he seems to be more interested in assisting China than honoring the Canadian Charter of Rights. Let's bring in our other 24 commentator, Salvador Silvaggio, for some of his insights into the World Economic Forum. Salvador?
Thank you, Seymour. Who some of these members of this World Economic Forum? Let me see here. There's Angelina Merkel, Chancellor of the Germany. What does she do? Germany locked the unvaccinated out of the public life. Well, that's not nice. Then there's, let's see here, Chrystia Freeland. Freeland? That's a funny name for someone who's taken the Canadians' freedom away, freeze their bank accounts, and steal their money. Who's this guy? Oh, Emmanuel Macron. He's the president of the France. He say about the unvaccinated, let's see here, he say that he really want to piss them off and to keep to piss them off to the end. He's a nasty guy. Ah, yes. Both of these guys, Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, the NDP guy. They work together to bring in the Emergencies Act to quash the nice trucker people who make the protest against the crazy government. Billy Gates, the Microsoft and the vaccine guy. What did he do? His big foundation has given millions of dollars for the companies that make the microchip to track you. So what is this idea about having a digital ID for everyone? They have a report on their website. It's called Advancing the Digital Agency. It's saying they want the data on everything you do. What kind of data they want? Oh, that's quite a list. What they gonna do with this information? What? I'm gonna have to get a permission from these guys to travel back to the old country? And they're telling me if I can own a cell phone? And if I can have the bank account? What? This is a pazzo. What? You think this can't happen? Well, guess what? They've already started to put the microchip into some of the people in Sweden. Son of a bitch. We needed to keep an eye on this Klaus Schwab guy and a stupido Justin Trudeau. It's a time to wake up, Canada. What we do now is no good. She's not gonna make. Son of a bitch. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Salvatore. Before we sign off, we wanted to leave you with this. Do you think that the big media organizations that are heavily sponsored by corporate money and government funding are influenced on reporting anything that may look badly on their sponsor companies or Trudeau?
You sometimes hear about liberal bias in the media these days, how they're constantly letting our government off the hook for no good reason. Frankly, I think that's insulting. It's clear that they let us off the hook for a very good reason, because we paid them $600 million. You don't get stellar headlines like these without greasing the wheels a bit.
Do you think that independent news groups like Rebel News, True North, and here at The Other 24, who don't take big corporate or government money but rely on donations from the people of Canada, would be a more truthful and objective source of information? Please get your news from a variety of objective and unbiased sources, free from political interference, corporate interests, and divisive propaganda. Then make up your own mind. Just a thought. So that's what's happening. This is Seymour Guff with The Other 24. Signing off until next time. Keep asking questions and looking for answers. Everyone has 24 hours in their day. Which 24 will you live?